So hey guys, and welcome back to Tiny Tanks. Um, Today we're looking at this Chally 2. Um, Earlier this year, around January of 2021, this Challenger 2 was released to the public with this primary green digital pattern camouflage, and I just absolutely fell in love with this thing. Immediately when I saw it, I went to my wife. I said, "I'm like, hun, I've got to add a Challenger 2 to my tanks, and I want to do this digital camouflage." It looked challenging, it looked fun, it looked pretty neat to do. So I'm going to show you how I did it, some tips and tricks, and maybe you can try to create your own. So to get started with creating a digital camo pattern was to try to be able to create a stencil that I could use for that pattern. In order to do that, I worked with my wife. She has a Cricut, and we were able to create a set of digital patterns in which her Cricut could cut out. Once they were cut out, I had all these stencils, and all I had to do to change the stencil was to turn it 90 degrees, or every time it turns into itself a digital stencil. Now, when creating the pattern on the tank, you just have to keep all your right angles at the same way. So, everything's either vertical or horizontal. Nothing is going really um, uh, diagonally across. It's going to disrupt the pattern of the digital pattern, or the digital pattern in there. So we use this Cricut, and um, that was allowed us to create a digital pattern on the tank using the airbrush. Now I thought about trying to stay with the greens, but then I was like, hey, let's have a little fun with this. Let's turn this into a desert camouflage tank, and we'll still use the digital pattern. So we started adding the greens, the browns overlaid onto the tan, and then to finally kind of top that off, we started looking at adding maybe a little bit of black to it. Um, Colors that we used were the red brown, a field gray, which is more of a green, and then we kept the light beige base coat that came with the Henglong tank. Um, it all seemed to kind of flow pretty well. Um, don't be afraid to work from, you're going to work from lighter to darker. That way your darker colors will cover over your lighters, because you're going to kind of go over the top of different patterns. Ultimately, when you add the black in, it kind of just gives a little bit of spotting here and there, and the overall effect is pretty beautiful. Um, it wasn't as hard as it looked like. It was just kind of time consuming. And like I said, if you don't have a Cricut, you can use just a piece of cardstock and a ruler and just cut out these like little digital shapes over and over and over on the cardstock. Get a whole variety, and then just start placing them around the tank. And once the digital camo pattern has been put down, and kind of liking where it's at, I'm going to be install the decals. Now I always use the Pending House decals or Archer decals. I never use the Henglong stickers. They're too thick, and they just don't look right on the tank. I will do a video on how to lay these decals down using a gloss, and so that you get a nice clear, looks like paint going down it. And I think you can kind of see the results here in these photos of the tank finally being done here. I'm going to do a light wash on it. You can kind of see in the wheels that I use a light mud wash. On modern tanks, I don't do a lot of weathering and that kind of stuff, because modern tanks are kept up typically very well by their crews, in fighting condition. Here, like I said, you can see the decals are nice and crystal and clear. They don't look like stickers on there. A light wash around the wheels. And here I'm just kind of showcasing some of the digital pattern that's on there. It wasn't a hard pattern to do. In fact, it was a lot of creativity that went into it, and I think it came out looking really well. It is kind of a little bit of a showstopper. People love taking a look at it and seeing it, and then a lot of people think that it's a factory applied paint, which I take is kind of a bit of an attaboy. So I will post a video here of it in motion, just to kind of show how it runs and how it sounds and all that. It's a pretty decent little Henglong tank. Not upset with it. It was a really fun build, and I liked playing off of the digi camo that the British government actually did. Don't be afraid to try some of these things. It's fun to kind of get into these tanks and give them a different paint job and make it, even if it's not something that's real. And I'll show you some of my tanks where I've kind of played off of that a little bit and created my own patterns. And that's okay. It's part of the fun of running with these RC tanks. I mean, who wants to have the same tank? You go with, meet with some friends or go to a meet or something like that, and you got 5, tanks that all look the same. It's you want to stand out a little bit. You want to create your own thing. So why not? Don't be afraid to. And I'll go into more of what it takes to, with airbrushes and stenciling and stuff like that in later videos. And so there you guys go. Quick little video on my Chally too. It's a fun little camouflage pattern to put down on it. Everything else is stock other than just metal wheels, metal tracks, all that kind of stuff. She's getting a smoking and lighted barrel this weekend, so I'll post another video on that. Thank you to Stanley Ty and RC Tank Legion out there. I appreciate you guys sending me a couple of those, and can't wait to put those in there, and I'll post a video with those with them in there. Thank you guys. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell, and that way it can feed more content back to you. And if you have any questions, comments, please post them below. Thanks.